Good evening. Welcome to Have I Got News for You? I'm Richard Osman. In the news this week, the BBC is forced to apologise after cutting to the wrong camera during an interview with Nigel Farage. With yet another story about his love life set to hit a Sunday newspaper, the victim takes direct action to try and stop the presses. And evidence emerges that the Australian Air Force are developing their own stealth bomber. On Ian's team tonight is a TV presenter who says history is the most exciting thing that has ever happened to anyone on the planet. Clearly, he never saw Todd Carty and Bonnie Langford win the Christmas edition of Celebrity Pointless. Please welcome Dan Snow. And with Paul tonight is a left-wing comedian who has been described by one critic as so honest, when he talks, it's like he's going to start a war at any time. Well, he's good, but he's no Tony Blair. Please welcome Mark Steele. And we start with the biggest stories of the week. Ian and Dan, take a look at this.
Oh, this is Goodbye, Chloe Smith. Yep. Yeah, Diane Abbott. Oh, yeah, goodbye to you too. Goodbye, he's one of the other ones.
Don't know who he is.
No, even he doesn't know who he is. This is reshuffles.
Yes.
All the big political parties have decided it's time to reshuffle their teams. And, you know, it's extraordinary. I mean, the change is unbelievable. Within a day, no one's noticed.
As a swing voter, it's completely convinced me.
Has it?
Yeah, I'm definitely voting for one of them now.
What all the parties have done is bring in women, which is one of those moves that even the Beeb will do. At some point.
I'm quite willing to have the operation if it helps.
So anyway, what do you want to know? We've got 3 people who used to work for breakfast television who've been promoted.
Who are the 3 daytime TV hosts who were promoted?
Well, this is like your Pointless programme.
It is a little bit, isn't it? It is a little bit. Except I'm allowed to say that's the difference. That's the one difference.
For the benefit of those of us who have jobs and don't watch daytime television.
Yeah. I haven't been a student for so long, I've forgotten who's on daytime television.
It's him.
You know what? How dare you?
5:30 isn't daytime, it's early evening.
Yeah, of course, Shoulder Peak.
Absolutely.
Access Prime.
Exactly.
That's what they call it. Yeah, it's daytime.
Television at its finest.
Tell us the names of these 3 ladies. These 3.
Esther McVeigh.
Esther McVeigh.
She's
got Anna
moved.
Soubry.
She's a Tory. Anna Soubry. She's another Tory. And the other one, Gloria Di
Piero, who is Labour. Let's take a little look at Esther McVeigh, shall we? What's her new job?
She's gone to work in pensions.
Yes, according to the Mail, she's been asked to play the role of Ian Duncan Smith's number 2. It's not all about GMTV presenters being promoted. There's another person being promoted by Ed Miliband, and that is the Right Honourable Tristram Hunt MP.
Yes.
He's a TV historian.
Yeah, TV is my competition. TV historian, yeah.
He's not your competition anymore, is he?
No, he's not. I saw him off. He had to come become a politician.
That's true. It's better to be a historian than a politician, right?
Much better. Well, we get to write about them and decide whether they're good or not.
Exactly. I have to say, I loved your history of the railways. I thought it was terrific. Ian, you did a history of the railways as well, didn't you?
I did a programme about Dr Beeching's cuts, yeah.
Did
it
you
was
see
prime access. 5:30 in the countdown slot.
Quite hard to make trains interesting, isn't it? I thought you did it very well. Oh, I'll tell you who else did it very well? Portillo.
Yeah.
He's very charismatic, isn't it?
Yeah, he was good.
And
yeah,
I like it when you go to India and you go on the trains and stuff like that. That's really good.
I don't know why other people bother doing it when you can't do it right.
Now, there was another man who was promoted in this reshuffle. His name was Alistair Carmichael. He's now the Minister of State for Scotland. Yeah. I would remember his name, anyone who watches Pointless, because honestly, give it 18 months and he's going to be an answer. But the first in the queue to shake his hand was Nick Clegg. Shall we take a little look? We had to cut it. It went on for 7 years.
Yeah, I can even... I can... Well, it looked like it, yes.
Speaking of 7 years, during the 7 Years' War, it was said that the King Louis's ministers, King Louis XV's ministers, used to change, like, the scenery at the opera so often.
Really?
Yeah.
Why didn't you say that, Paul?
Because it was boring.
I'm just... Yeah. It wasn't all people being promoted, though. There were a few demotions as well.
Well, you showed
one of
Diane
which-
Abbott, didn't you? Ed Miliband sacked her, and she's not even related to him. She wanted his job originally. She wanted to be in charge of the Labour Party. God knows why.
Are you mourning her loss?
Yeah, well, she was never on message. And in the new political parties, you're meant to toe the line. So she's been sacked. So she'll be back to helping Portillo.
I love it. He's so good on trains. Mind you, anyone can make trains interesting, can't they?
Yeah.
Most people can make that job funny as well.
Now, who reshuffled themselves this week?
An extremist are you looking for, Richard?
I am looking for an extremist, yeah, but that's after the show.
Tommy Robinson.
Oh, the English Defence League.
Tommy Robinson, the English Defence
Tommy
League.
Robinson, absolutely
Yes.
right. What did he do this week?
He resigned from the English Defence League and...
He found out, much to his horror, that a lot of them were racist.
I can't...
Didn't understand
I don't know
that
what's
bit.
going on. I mean, we used to march into Muslim areas and that and go Muslims out and we hate Muslims and we hate Pakis and that, and then it turns out some of them, like, were anti-Islam. So, I went off them.
And do you know what Tommy... And do you know what Tommy Robinson does for a living?
Did he work at United
Oh, he was
Nations?
at,
Because he could see sick children with Roger Moore and Lulu.
He also used to run a tanning shop.
Exactly right, yes.
What,
he
changing the
runs
colour of people's skin?
Yeah.
So your customer comes in, come in, madam, and next after half an hour later, you can get out.
Yes, this is the day of reshuffles. According to the Daily Telegraph, Employment Minister Esther McVey once shared the GMTV sofa with Eamon Holmes. I'm guessing that wasn't half each. Explaining his decision to quit the EDL, Tommy Robinson said, "Here's the thing, 10% of our members are dickheads." Yes, it's always the tiny minority that makes marching on a mosque such an unpleasant experience. Paul and Mark, take a look at this.
This is clearly somebody trying to post letters there. There's the dog helping him out.
Well, that dog might be replacing the postman in the new privatised service.
Oh, and then postmen, in an act of revenge, will bite dogs.
Yeah.
The Royal Mail has been sold off, isn't it, Mark?
Now, even Thatcher said we would not privatise the Royal Mail, but this lot have decided to do it. And you have to conclude they really, genuinely would sell their granny, these people. They would go, "Granny, come on, you are of no use to society, you're too expensive, we're having to drive you round to your mates' funerals and stuff like that."
Take you down the tanning shop and get you deported.
Can I guess you haven't applied for shares?
I have, but... No, it's horrible, this is. It's everything about this government sort of rolled up into one story. It's as if the country's been run by Ryanair now. You just pay for your little thing and that's it, nothing else. I don't want to pay for libraries, I don't go to the library. Look at all the money that gets wasted on guide dogs. I can't climb a tree, nobody buys me a gibbon.
It is hugely oversubscribed, though. That's the key. There's about 7 times as many people trying to get the shares as there are shares.
Well, all this sort of idea that it's going to be a capitalism that reaches out to the poor, and the bank that is organising this, that is going to make a huge, vast amount of money, is Goldman Sachs. And you think, oh, it's about time they had a break, isn't it?
But Labour are saying that the post office is being sold off on the cheap.
Well, because it's so massively oversubscribed. I mean, the logic is clearly that we've got to sell off the post office, and then the market says, well, actually, everybody wants a bit of the post office. It's obviously really valuable, which raises the question, well, then why are we selling it off, then? If it's a state asset, why can't we keep it? And the answer is they don't know.
According to the Times, this might not be the last privatisation we see as well. What else have they suggested might be privatised?
The Queen.
They haven't yet, but that would be oversubscribed, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I'd like a piece of her.
I've heard the rumours.
What else have they got left to sell off?
I think the next one will be lamp posts. I think they'll sell off lamp posts and you'll have to put 5p in a little meter. And it'll give you just enough light to get to the next one and you put another That's what
Somewhere George Osborne is writing that down, you know that, don't you?
you know the Royal Mail owns a brilliant miniature electric railway that goes from Paddington to Whitechapel?
Yeah.
And it hasn't been used for about 8 to 10 years.
That'd be brilliant, wouldn't it, to use that?
Yeah, they're thinking about using it for shops on Oxford Street. They could have their own little spout and then they put all the goods up and down it and it just whizzes around.
Mark, you were saying earlier that Margaret Thatcher always refused to sell off the Royal Mail. What reason did she give?
Oh, wasn't it something about the Queen's head, wasn't it?
Yeah, she said, I am not prepared to have the Queen's head privatised.
Yeah.
Because it was Dennis's favourite pub, I think.
Hey.
Yes, this is the mad rush to buy shares in the Royal Mail. To our younger viewers, a letter is a bit like a text, but you write it down with a pen and you put it in an envelope, then you buy a sort of sticker to put on it, then you put it in the hole in one of those red boxes, and within 2 days it'll be delivered to the wrong house somewhere near where your friend lives. The shares were priced at £3.30. No one quite understands how they got to that price. It was a bit like trying to buy a stamp for something that doesn't weigh very much, but is quite wide. Ian and Dan, here's another for you.
That's some newspapers. You won't see them for much longer. Lord Leveson. And that's the Prime Minister. Oh, this is the Privy Council is going to report on press freedom and the plans to regulate the press. And they've decided to reject the newspaper's own solution and have a royal charter. But the main thing that's coming out of the proposal is that publications that won't join up to the regulator, such as, say, a small magazine like Private Eye, those publications, if they get involved in a libel action and they win, they prove that they were right to say it, they will not only have to pay all their own costs, they'll have to pay all the costs of the person who sued them. That is now law. That's already been enacted by the government, not by anyone independent, by the politicians. So the idea that then, given any say on the rest of the press, they will act responsibly, they won't. They'll punish those whose views they don't like, who won't play ball. And obviously, that may well be me.
It ought to be simple, and it's only because it was Leveson, sort of one of these chaps who sits there going, oh, I've spent 84 years looking through 1 billion pages, and really he should have just sat there and gone, oh, for Christ's sake, all you horrible bastards, you're just in jail, and that's...
It was simple, that's what happened. Everyone says, well, Lord Leveson, he reported nothing happened. It did happen. They closed down the biggest newspaper in the country. Scores of people have been arrested, journalists. Lots of people are being prosecuted. It's a big result.
It's probably difficult this time for people to find themselves siding with the Daily Mail. And so
You're not. I mean...
But that's what people are thinking. That's
yeah,
the
they're
thing.
thinking I'm lining up with Murdoch and with Dacre. That's very, very embarrassing. Look at me, I'm embarrassed, you know, internally. I'm crawling. But... You know, in Britain we have a free press. It's not a pretty press, but it's free. It's like the people who can't bear the Daily Mail. They're saying you should ban it. No, 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 you don't ban it. You don't ban it. You don't buy it.
At least once a week there'll be a story in there that goes, have you seen this woman in a council estate and she's got 403 kids and they're all on benefits and now she's bought a giraffe and the giraffe's on benefits and now she's said to the government that she can't fit the giraffe in the house, it's getting a crick neck, so they put it up in St Paul's Cathedral. And now she's saying that 3 of her kids have got compulsive snooker syndrome, so the town hall's brought a snooker table round, but she can't be referee because she's allergic to white gloves, so the mayor has to come round and count up the points, otherwise he'll be arrested by Europe.
That is absolutely true, but then every now and then the Daily Mail runs a story like the murderers of Stephen Lawrence shouldn't get off scot-free. They did murder him. We are going to campaign for 10 years until they get justice. I mean, the free press does good things. Even if you don't like most of what they do, you have to allow people to do these stories, otherwise they won't appear.
What you're saying is sometimes Luke Skywalker has to team up with Darth Vader, right?
Or, as I might put it, Churchill with Stalin.
Indeed.
Yeah. Just to translate that, that's Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker.
Presumably Ian is Churchill there in that analogy?
Yes.
And Stalin is my father.
So this is all going to come into play on October the 30th. I've got the official timetable of what happens, if you want to know, because it's Privy Council, so it's quite confusing. The Queen will attend the Privy Council with her official seal.
Judging by that noise in the front row tonight.
She will then ratify the Royal Charter, which editors will be expected to sign up to. Ian Hislop will then be hung for treason. Did you see the journalist Mehdi Hassan taking the Daily Mail to task on Question Time?
No.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, he did. Ian did.
He called it the immigration-bashing, woman-hating, Muslim-smearing, NHS-undermining, gay-bashing Daily Mail. Although the Mail did print this in retaliation. It's a letter from Mehdi Hassan applying for a job at the Mail. In a letter to Paul Dacre a few years ago, he says, I have always admired the paper's passion, rigour, boldness and, of course, news values. I admire your relentless focus on the need for integrity and morality in public life.
Ooh. Ouch.
Ed Miliband, of course, has done very well out of his fight with the Mail. This week, he's been reinforcing his tough guy image. Let's take a look. As an example of press freedom, what did The Guardian do that was described this week as the greatest damage to the Western security apparatus in history?
It's the new head of MI5.
Yeah, new head of MI5.
Has said The Guardian has acted really irresponsibly in pointing out that we're spying on people. And The Guardian has said, well, look, even Obama has said, actually, we were probably overdoing the spying. But in this country, everyone's gone absolutely mental and say, oh, no, The Guardian should be put down, because they pointed out that we're all being spied on all the time. You know, and it's a matter of consent, really. You can debate this and say, yes, I'd like to be spied on. I know I would.
I knew
anyone showing any interest in my life would be terrific. I'd be very, very happy with that. But I think it's a matter for public debate. And if, you know, we want to pass laws saying we can spy on people, we can. It's just what The Guardian did is point out this is happening and nobody knows it.
I mean, I always like people's use of the word in history, because that's quite a long time. What about when the entire British Secret Service was working for the Russians?
When did that happen?
During for most of the Cold War.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All of them?
Yeah, pretty much. So you think, well, that was pretty bad, wasn't it? So, I mean, this is clearly also a bit bad, but I don't think it's the worst... it's not the worst security breach in history, is it?
Also, when Judi Dench died. Yes, this is the march towards government regulation of the press, which the whole of Fleet Street argues would be an unmitigated disaster. According to the Mail, the cross-party agreement was negotiated in Ed Miliband's office over pizza. Pizza? That's Italian. God, Miliband really does hate Britain. Meanwhile, in a speech, Andrew Parker, the head of MI5, has attacked The Guardian and Edward Snowden for harming Britain's intelligence services. Spy Master Parker may not look much like he's a specialist in espionage and covert operations, but to be fair to him, he is a 68-year-old black woman. Paul and Mark, here is another one for you.
This is a cat being massaged. There was a story this week. Not all cats like being stroked. And when they're purring, it could be a sign of distress.
It's exactly right. You mustn't stroke cats.
And who was the research done by?
It was done
Debbie
by...
Dog.
No, it was actually done by Professor Daniel Mills of the University of Lincoln. How could he tell that cats were stressed when you stroked them?
He had them all wired up.
Through electricity, which would stress anybody.
He said, no, when they're handled by humans, they let off a small amount of hormone linked to anxiety. I did that at the start of the show.
Did you?
Yeah.
And we're not meant to actually do a full massage on cats, are we? Like, I mean, just if they're feeling a bit down and say, oh, have you had a terrible day? What's it like outside? Oh, raining again.
So is that the cat speaking?
No.
That's more of a story in my mind, that the cat's actually talking rather than just getting a massage.
No, he doesn't say anything. It's me doing the massage.
Well, that's misleading. You, as the editor of a publication, on the television, telling people that cats can talk. Where's Lord Leveson when you need him?
Working for the dogs.
During the test, what proportion of cats enjoyed being stroked?
43%.
Oh, you're so close.
50%.
8 out of 10.
It was none at all. I'm just going to warn viewers at home now to look away if you don't want to see a photograph of someone deliberately stressing out a cat. The Mail Online carried the story, and there was a big response in the comments section. For example, Alexandra wrote, "The look of total pleasure on my cat's face when I pet him tells me he could not be less stressed out when he's plopped in my lap." Round 2 is called the History Noise. I'll play you a noise which will relate to a story from this week's news, which has a link to history. Buzz in when you think you know what the story is. Let's hear the first noise.
Come on, come on. Quickly, I need an answer.
Merton, Magdalen.
That's Jeremy Paxman.
It is Jeremy Paxman.
And he's just brought a book out, has he, about the First World War, and he was being asked some questions about it at a book festival and didn't know any of the answers to the rather simple questions he was being asked.
That's absolutely right. Do you know what he was asked?
Yes.
Hislop.
Maudlin.
By nature or by university.
And he couldn't answer what happened to Lord Kitchener, very much the poster boy for World War One.
Yeah, he
You know what
drowned.
happened to Lord Kitchener?
He was on a ship that hit a mine. He was on his way to Russia. It was a bit of a cabinet reshuffle, actually.
And Paxman didn't know at all. Can you believe it? He didn't even know the name of the soldier in that tomb at Westminster Abbey. That's inexcusable, isn't it, Dan?
Yes, it's also inexcusable to be a BBC history presenter that loses out to a man who knows nothing in a big landmark BBC history series about the First World War. So I'm an even bigger failure.
Was it not offered to you?
Of course not, no.
You were surely that you're a shoo-in for that job.
Oh, well, you thought so, you know.
In addition to Jeremy Paxman, who else is stupid this week?
Oh, is this the Global Education Report?
Oh, yes, that's right.
The International Education Report. Yeah, Britain was 22nd in literacy and 21st in numeracy.
And that was out of 20.
I don't know, I couldn't read it.
And was number one...
I mean, and older people in this country are much more literate and numerate than younger people, and in all the successful countries, it's the other way round, which suggests that something's gone wrong.
Is that right, though? They've got their own language, though, haven't they? Sort of 19-year-olds now.
So have the French.
Who are the least numerate people on Earth?
Below us.
It was the Americans. The Americans. They don't even know there's more than one math. Yes, Jeremy Paxman is the latest in a long line of people to cash in on, commemorate World War One. One plan for the commemorations is to replay the famous Christmas Day football match with a special game between England and Germany to be shown live on Sky Sports Somber Sunday. Also this week, the Cookie Monster made an exclusive appearance on Newsnight, saying, "Cookie, om nom nom, nom nom nom, om nom 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 nom, ha, bye-bye, turn camera off." I'm so sorry, that was Boris Johnson. Let's take a listen to the next history noise.
Next history noise.
Paul and Mark.
A zip?
It was a zip, yeah. Why is zip particularly historical this week?
Must be the
100th
anniversary of the zip.
100th anniversary of the zip.
Yes, it's been 100 years to the day since a man first went, "Ah, no, that's just making it worse." Yeah, I tell you what, if cats don't like being stroked, they should try that. The zip appears in the top 5 of the list of 100 greatest inventions of all time. Can you tell me what else might appear in that top 5?
Fire. There's a moth in the studio. Moths. A moth. Fire. Fire's got to be one of the top inventions, isn't it?
No. I think fire was a discovery more than an invention.
Oh.
That moth is very, very excited. Someone's got something very old out the wardrobe. I think it's that gentleman's jumper.
It shows you how interesting this programme is. Everybody's focus is now on that moth. So, yeah, the fire. Yeah, fire. So fire's a discovery.
Let's take a look at the top 5. They are in order. The corkscrew, or bottle opener.
Yes.
The optical lens, the zip fastener, the cigarette lighter...
Fire! Portable fire, I should have said.
What about the moth zapper? Really do with one now.
I told you to wait in the van.
And the next history noise for you.
That's...
Paul again.
That's the sound of a football being kicked.
It is, yeah.
And the whistle, it was a clue that it's a football. There was some sort of fanfare before that. We've had a football match at Buckingham Palace this week.
Oh, exactly right, yeah, tell me more.
150 years of the FA. And one of the teams playing was actually one of the 12 original teams. Yeah, Civil Service United, or
something?
Yeah, Civil Service FC. Yeah.
I only read the first few. I got so bored of the story, I stopped reading it after PO.
And that's why, as a historian, you haven't buzzed in for one of the questions on the history room. No wonder they gave Paxman that documentary.
I know.
Didn't Prince Harry play in this game?
Prince William.
It's Prince William, yeah. Should we take a look at him?
Yes.
And that's from Danny Baker's 101 campus throw-ins of all time. Yeah, in his pre-match speech, Prince William said, "I'm excited we'll be playing football on my grandmother's lawn. One warning, though, if anyone breaks a window, you can answer to her." And what's more, you'll have to pay for it. Oh, hang on, you already pay for it. Now, there are all sorts of nationalities playing in this team, so what did they have to do with Prince Philip while the game was on? Where did they send him this week?
Bamall or somewhere like that, Bamall?
They sent him to an old people's home.
Oh.
A people's home, I think he would call it. But how did he show he was back on form? He saw this girl, who's a pensioner's great-granddaughter. He said, "Do I get bonus points if I knock her off?" Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication International Sheepdog News. It's a brilliant read, brilliantly illustrated. The dog's bollocks are on page 16. And we start with, what is just about the worst thing a sheepdog can do?
Eating sheep. Telling the neighbours that you're bisexual.
To leg bite a sheep. Next, Ivan the Terrible was what?
Too soft, says Putin.
All right, once you got to know him.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? You were actually right the first time. Apparently, Ivan the Terrible was not so bad.
No.
Yeah, Ivan the Terrible died whilst playing chess. He was given the last rites by a bishop, who took his time getting there because he could only move diagonally. And finally, there is as yet no what in Poland?
Lebensraum.
A historical joke.
Sheepdogs.
Poland. There is as yet no Border Collie Association in Poland. And partly because all the Polish Border Collies are in this country rounding up sheep for half the price of the English ones. So, the final scores are... Ian and Dan, 7 points. Paul and Mark are this week's winners with 11 points. But before we go, there's just time for the caption competition.
Budget cuts affect Incredible Hulk movie.
And this.
Yes.
Well, if Qatar can have the football, Atlantis can have the cricket.
Rain stops play.
On which note, we say thank you to our contestants, Ian Hislop and Dan Snow, Paul Merton and Mark Steele. And I leave you with news that, in London, the publisher who suggested a new Bridget Jones book would be a great idea is swiftly tracked down. As part of a crackdown on recycling, Kingston Council officials go through the bins at Ronnie Corbett's house. And there are incredible scenes at the World's Smuggest Man competition as judges declare it a three-way tie. Good night.
Keeping the comedy coming with Spark Hill's favourite community leader, Citizen Khan's next on BBC One. He's back. Graham Norton banters with Harrison Ford, Benedict Cumberbatch and Jack Whitehall at 10:35. And meet the squad who are funny on the front line. Bluestone 4-2 here at 11:20.